Let's take a second right now to have a moment of silence for Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson, who suggested that the WNBA as a whole should have been on the cover of Time magazine instead of just Caitlin Clark. Caitlin has brought a ton of new opportunity, a ton of new eyeballs, and more money to the sport. So instead of downplaying the magnitude of who she is and what she's brought, enjoy the ride and take advantage of the ride.
Let's take a moment to reflect on Washington Mystics owner Sheila Johnson, who recently suggested that the WNBA as a whole should have been on the cover of Time magazine instead of just Caitlin Clark. Two statements, just 2 months apart, reveal an incredible hypocrisy. Johnson publicly dismissed Caitlin Clark's Time Athlete of the Year honor, insisting that the entire WNBA deserved the recognition. However, many are now noticing the glaring inconsistency in her stance. Remember, Sheila Johnson, the same Mystics owner who, on CNN, was clearly upset over Clark receiving such a prestigious award.
However, a lot of people are noticing the fact that we all remember Sheila Johnson, right? The Mystics owner that went on CNN that was none too pleased about Caitlin Clark having received the Time Magazine Athlete of the Year. She made absurd comments.
But actions speak louder than words. Johnson's recent business decisions, particularly regarding the Fever's games, are causing a stir in the basketball world. She previously claimed that it wasn't just Clark bringing attention to the league, but now her actions suggest the opposite. The numbers behind her latest move are telling a very different story. Stick with us because we've got all the receipts, including a certain award where Johnson remained mysteriously silent. When Caitlin Clark was named Time Athlete of the Year, Johnson publicly questioned why the entire WNBA couldn't be featured, stating that the WNBA's collective talent deserved recognition.
Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said, the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have?
She went on CNN to express her dissatisfaction, pointing out how the WNBA had taken years to get to where it is now, thanks to players like Clark and others. However, her criticism raises questions. Was this truly about team unity? Or was there something else at play? Johnson's criticism also took a divisive turn when she introduced race into the conversation. She lamented that many players of color, equally talented, had not received similar recognition. While this issue deserves attention, her remarks shifted the focus from Clark's individual accomplishment to a much more charged discussion about race, rather than recognizing Clark's contribution to the sport.
It has taken the WNBA almost 28 years to get to the point where we are now. And this year, something clicked with the WNBA, and it's because of the draft of the players that came in. It's just not Caitlin Clark, it's Reese. We have so much talent out there that has been unrecognized. And I don't think we can just pin it on one player.
What's puzzling is how Johnson's comments completely ignore the measurable impact Clark has had on the league. When the Fever played against the Mystics last season, attendance for those games averaged 20,000 fans, a huge increase. Yet, when other teams visited, the Mystics struggled to fill even 5,000 seats. That's not a small bump, that's a monumental shift in fan engagement. Caitlin Clark has brought a massive surge of opportunity, viewership, and revenue to women's basketball, and instead of acknowledging that, Johnson continues to downplay her influence. Clark's impact went far beyond filling seats.
It has been, this phrase has been couched, hasn't it? The Caitlin Clark effect. Why do you think that has been the case?
Well, I want to be very diplomatic about this. It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now it is time for that to happen.
Her presence led to a threefold increase in Fever game attendance and a staggering 1,000% jump in jersey sales. These are not just impressive numbers. They represent transformational figures for women's basketball. While the NBA faces declining ratings, the WNBA, with Clark at the helm, has seen a surge in fan interest and revenue. What's more telling about this situation is how Clark herself responded. Instead of engaging in unnecessary drama or firing back, Clark took the high road. In her Time magazine interview, she emphasized mutual respect among players and dismissed any notion of jealousy in the league.
The NBA's ratings continue to drop over 30% as they try to figure out who is going to fill the shoes of LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry. The WNBA has a golden goose sitting in their league and has done, it's gotten better, but has done everything to kind of discredit the momentum and eyeballs she's brought to this game. Caitlin is someone who has, if you look at it, done everything you're supposed to do and has been criticized along every step of the way. Again, she's damned if she does, and she's damned if she doesn't.
She showed grace and confidence, refusing to be baited into division. Johnson's criticisms seem to be a defense of collective recognition, but they now look increasingly hollow. When A'ja Wilson was recently awarded Women of the Year, Johnson's concern for collective achievement disappeared without a trace. Wilson, just like Clark, received individual recognition, but there was no public outcry from Johnson. Why wasn't she speaking up now, especially when Wilson received similar honors to Clark? The silence speaks volumes, perhaps the most revealing.
Time magazine backed themselves into a confusing corner with their latest blunder. This is a Whiskey Riff right here. When they crowned their Athlete of the Year last year, they did the right thing by giving the title to Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. Surprisingly, there was some backlash to the decision, which is absurd, with many in the WNBA saying the award should have been given to the entire league instead of just...
Part of this entire situation is Johnson's recent business decision to relocate the Mystics' home games against the Fever to Baltimore. This wasn't just a simple venue change. It was a strategic move to accommodate a much larger audience. The Mystics' usual arena holds only 4,200 fans, but by moving the game to a 14,000-seat arena, Johnson is poised to capitalize on the immense demand generated by Caitlin Clark's popularity. This move alone is projected to bring in millions of dollars in ticket revenue. The inconsistency is glaring.
Mystics owner went on CNN and was like, I think it would have been nice if they'd have put the entire league on the front cover of Time magazine as Athlete of the Year. Well, there wasn't but one athlete that was moving all the numbers. All right, that was influencing all the money. Gate revenue, attendance, ratings, all the stuff we've talked about, right? There's only one. Right, wrong, or indifferent, just one. Plays in Indiana, wears 22. Right?
Johnson's earlier claims about the need for team recognition seemed to have vanished the moment the financial potential of Caitlin Clark's popularity became clear. Social media quickly caught on, pointing out the hypocrisy of downplaying Clark's influence while simultaneously profiting from her draw. It's clear that the Mystics' decision to move the game to a bigger venue isn't about fairness or unity. It's about maximizing ticket sales. Clark's popularity, which Johnson once downplayed, is now being fully capitalized on. It's a stark contradiction that raises serious questions about Johnson's true motivations.
People, keep in mind, this is a business. When Nike signs an athlete, okay, they want to get an ROI, return on their investment. How do they do that? Because that athlete resonates. You understand that Caitlin Clark, her jerseys, her apparel, if she has an apparel deal, her shoes will...
Other WNBA teams have made similar venue adjustments, but they didn't go on national television to minimize Clark's impact before doing so. They simply acknowledged the reality. Caitlin Clark is driving unprecedented interest in women's, Basketball and her star power is a valuable asset to the league.
Means the gate prices, all right? The gate prices for the game will actually go up. In other words, just like that preseason game, they has got tickets for $4,500. A run-of-the-mill game like this, even we all know Caitlin Clark tickets are expensive.
Johnson's selective outrage and hypocritical actions expose a much deeper issue within the WNBA leadership. The league needs to stop diminishing the accomplishments of individual players like Clark and start celebrating the stars who are elevating the entire league.
Raising the amount of money it will cost to get into this game, she may end up lining her own pockets with more money because the gate prices may go way up, and she's going to force Caitlin Clark fans to pay additional money to get into the game by putting in a bigger but not as big venue.
Caitlin Clark isn't just a rising star. She's a generational talent who is changing the landscape of women's basketball. The WNBA should embrace that instead of creating unnecessary division. So why the selective targeting of Caitlin Clark? Let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. To stay updated, we'll see you in the next one.